Pinocchio, a journey of courage and truth. Once upon a time, in a small, quaint village filled with colorful houses and friendly neighbors, there lived an old woodcarver named Geppetto. Geppetto was a kind-hearted man, always smiling and whistling as he worked, but he was lonely. He spent his days carving toys and puppets from wood, bringing joy to the village children, but he longed for a child of his own. One day, as the sun set over the hills, casting a golden glow through the windows of his workshop, Geppetto decided to carve something special. With great care, he carved a little wooden boy, shaping every detail with love. He named the puppet Pinocchio and placed him gently on the workbench. As he admired his creation, Geppetto sighed and whispered, "Oh, how I wish you were a real boy." That night, as Geppetto slept, a shimmering blue light filled the workshop. It was the magical fairy who had heard Geppetto's heartfelt wish. She waved her wand over Pinocchio, and with a soft sparkle, the wooden puppet came to life. His eyes blinked open, and his wooden limbs began to move. "Pinocchio," the fairy said with a warm smile, "you will be alive, but to become a real boy, you must prove that you are brave, truthful, and unselfish." The next morning, Geppetto awoke to the sound of laughter and movement. To his amazement, Pinocchio was alive, walking and talking like a real boy. Geppetto was overjoyed and hugged Pinocchio tightly. From that moment on, Geppetto treated Pinocchio like his own son, and Pinocchio was filled with happiness. But he was also curious about the world beyond the workshop, eager to explore the adventures waiting for him. One sunny morning, as Pinocchio set off for school, Geppetto reminded him to be good and study hard. But on the way, Pinocchio met a sly fox and a crafty cat who tempted him with stories of a place called Pleasure Island. "There are no rules on Pleasure Island," they said. "Boys can have fun all day long." Forgetting Geppetto's wise advice, Pinocchio followed them, eager for endless fun and excitement. When Pinocchio arrived at Pleasure Island, it was everything the fox and cat had promised. There were games, treats, and adventures around every corner. But as the days passed, the carefree fun came at a terrible cost. Pinocchio and the other boys who had been misbehaving began to turn into donkeys as punishment for their wild behavior. Pinocchio's once playful laughter faded as he noticed his ears growing long and a tail sprouting from his back. He had made a terrible mistake. Desperate to make things right, Pinocchio fled from Pleasure Island, determined to find his way back to Geppetto. Along the way, he encountered the magical fairy once again. "Pinocchio," she said gently, "you must understand the importance of being honest, brave, and unselfish. Only then can you fulfill your wish to become a real boy." Pinocchio promised to change his ways and continued his journey home. But when he finally reached the cottage, Geppetto was gone. The neighbors told Pinocchio that Geppetto, heartbroken over Pinocchio's disappearance, had gone out to sea in search of him. To Pinocchio's horror, Geppetto's boat had been swallowed by a giant whale. With a heart full of determination, Pinocchio set off to rescue his father. He braved the stormy sea and finally found the enormous whale. With great courage, he let the whale swallow him too, so he could find Geppetto inside the whale's belly. In the darkness of the whale's belly, Pinocchio found Geppetto, tired but alive. Overjoyed to be reunited, Pinocchio quickly came up with a clever plan. He gathered bits of wood and built a small fire. The smoke from the fire tickled the whale's throat, causing it to sneeze. With a mighty sneeze, the whale sent Pinocchio and Geppetto flying safely back to the shore. Back on land, the magical fairy appeared once more, her blue light glowing softly around them. "Pinocchio," she said, "you have proven that you are brave, truthful, and unselfish. You risked your life to save your father. Now, you deserve to be a real boy." With a wave of her wand, Pinocchio felt a warm, tingling sensation. His wooden body softened, and his joints became smooth. When he looked down, he saw that he was no longer made of wood. He was a real boy at last. Geppetto and Pinocchio embraced, tears of happiness in their eyes. From that day on, Pinocchio remained a good, honest, and brave boy, always remembering the lessons he had learned on his incredible journey. He and Geppetto lived happily together, filled with love and laughter, knowing that kindness, honesty, and courage are what make life truly magical. The end.